Moving on, and China's President Xi Jinping has said he wants to deepen China-Russia ties despite turbulent external conditions. The Chinese leader met Russian Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin in Beijing just days after his summit with Donald Trump. China has drawn closer to Moscow since Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine 3.5 years ago. Despite pressure from the West, China insists it's neutral on Ukraine, but it provides economic and diplomatic support to Russia. Now, earlier, Xi reaffirmed Beijing's commitment to Moscow during his meeting with the Russian Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin.
Since the beginning of this year, China and Russia have steadfastly navigated a turbulent external environment with great composure, aiming for higher quality and development goals. President Putin and I met twice in Moscow and Beijing to have in-depth exchanges of views and make new plans for issues that carry strategic and overarching significance in China-Russia relations.
Right, for more on this, I'm joined by our resident China analyst, Clifford Coonan. Clifford, good to see you, mate. Fresh from his meeting with Trump to iron out trade differences, Xi meets Russia's PM. Is this meeting deliberately timed to send a message either to the West or to Moscow, do you think?
Well, I think we're living in a time of messaging. Everything is about messaging. The Trump meeting with Xi last week was about messaging. Trump sorted out a trade deal that was basically of a crisis of his own making in many ways. Now we see China is sending out a message to Moscow, which needs soothing after seeing this possible closeness between Trump and Xi and between the US and China. So they need to know that things are on track, and so we have that strong message there. But there's another aspect to this, I think, which is that China is sending a message to the US, showing that it is very much in control of its own destiny, and that regardless of what the US thinks about Russia and the war in Ukraine, China says we're neutral, which is obviously contentious, but we're going to do what we want, and these are our allies, and we're going to behave how we want. So there's a lot of messaging going on.
Right, and then amongst that, China has reduced oil imports from Russia sharply, and other imports are down. Is Xi's pledge to strengthen these economic ties?
Two world leaders smiling for cameras, calling each other dear friends, signing deals worth billions of dollars. But behind those smiles, one of them is quietly planning to take everything the other has. What if I told you that right now, while Russia and China are acting like best buddies, China is secretly preparing for something that could change the entire world? Something involving the biggest lake you've never heard of? Something that could start the next major conflict? And something that makes their friendship look like the biggest lie in modern history. This isn't just politics. This is about survival, water, power, and a chess game where one wrong move could affect every single person on Earth. But before we dive deep, please hit that subscribe button and smash the like button. Trust me, you'll want to follow this channel for more eye-opening content like this. Part 1, The Fake Friendship, Why Russia and China Are Lying to the World. Let me tell you something wild. Right now, in 2025, Russia and China are putting on the greatest show on Earth. They're hugging in public, signing trade deals, doing military exercises together, and telling everyone they're building a new world order together. But here's what they don't want you to know. This friendship has an expiration date. Think about it like friends in high school who were only nice to you because they wanted something. That's exactly what's happening here, but on a global scale with nuclear weapons. Putin is currently stuck in Ukraine, burning through his country's money and weapons like there's no tomorrow. He's spending billions fighting a war that's going nowhere. And while he's busy doing that, guess who's watching from the sidelines with a big smile? China. Xi Jinping is not stupid. He's watching Russia get weaker every single day. And here's the thing that should scare everyone. China is getting exactly what it wants without firing a single bullet. While Russia is distracted with Ukraine, China is quietly moving into Russia's backyard. Here's a fact that will blow your mind. China's economy is 9 times bigger than Russia's. 9 times! China has 9 times more people, 9 times more money, and their economy is growing, while Russia's is falling apart. In 2025, Russia and China did more business together than ever before. They're trading in their own currencies instead of dollars. They're buying oil and gas from each other. Sounds like best friends forever, right? Wrong. History teaches us that friendships based on convenience never last. Russia needs China's money because the West stopped buying their stuff. China needs Russia's oil and gas because they're hungry for energy. But that's where the friendship ends. Here's something crazy that nobody's talking about. Chinese cyber hackers were caught stealing Russian military secrets. Yeah, while Xi and Putin were calling each other dear friends on TV, Chinese spies were breaking into Russian computer systems and stealing information about nuclear submarines and weapons. That's not what friends do. The trade between Russia and China hit $250 billion in 2024. That sounds impressive until you realize that China does more trade with the United States in just a few months. Russia is becoming less important to China, but more dependent on China. That's not a friendship, that's a trap. Both countries have nuclear weapons. A lot of nuclear weapons. So when this friendship ends, and trust me, it will end, the stakes couldn't be higher. Why are they pretending to be friends? Simple. Both of them hate the United States more than they hate each other. For now, both of them want to create a world where America isn't the boss. For now. Both of them benefit from working together. For now. But that "for now" is the key phrase. Because underneath all the smiles and handshakes, there's a ticking time bomb. And the timer is running out. Want to know what that time bomb is? Keep watching because part 2 will reveal the secret weapon that China has that could destroy Russia forever. Part 2. The secret weapon, what China really wants from Russia. You're probably thinking, what could China possibly want from Russia? Let me tell you about something that changes everything, a lake. Yes, a lake. Lake Baikal might be the most important lake in the world. Why? Because it holds something more valuable than gold, water. China has a massive problem. They have 1.4 billion people to feed, but 90% of China's groundwater is poisonous. Why? Because China spent 40 years building factories and destroying their environment. Imagine you're Xi Jinping. Half your country doesn't have clean water. The north, where 500 million people live, is running out of water. What do? You look at Russia and see Lake Baikal. Lake Baikal is in Siberia. It's the deepest lake on Earth, over 600 meters deep. The oldest lake, 25 million years old. But here's the key. Lake Baikal contains 20 to 23% of all fresh water on the planet. One lake in Russia. Almost a quarter of all fresh water in the world. For China, this is better than gold. You can't drink gold. China already tried getting this water. In 2017, they proposed a massive 2,000-kilometer pipeline pumping water to northern China. Russian officials considered it. But 1 million Russians signed petitions saying, no, China backed off. For now. In 2019, a Chinese company started a bottling plant near the lake. The plan? Ship 190 million liters yearly to China. Russians protested. The court shut it down, but China didn't give up. They're just patient. China plays the long game. They don't need to invade today, they wait. Every day Putin wastes money in Ukraine, Russia gets weaker. Every day Russia weakens, China gains leverage. China became Russia's biggest trading partner. Russia sells them oil and gas. This makes Russia dependent. When you need someone to buy your stuff, you lose power. They're not just thinking about water. Siberia has everything China needs: oil, gas, timber, minerals. And parts of Siberia historically belonged to China. Some Chinese remember this. Russia is desperate. They need money for Ukraine, they need buyers, and China is there with deep pockets. But China isn't being kind. They need resources they don't have. And their weak neighbor has everything. Putin knows this. But he's trapped. Can't fight China while fighting Ukraine. Can't reject China because he needs their money. So Putin smiles, shakes hands, signs deals, and hopes Russia stays strong enough. But every day, that becomes less likely. Keep watching because part 3 reveals the historical grudge between these two countries that nobody remembers, but both sides will never forget. Part 3, the forgotten war. Why Russia and China are destined to fight. Here's something wild. Russia and China have fought before. The hatred between them runs deep. In 1969, Russia and China went to war. A border conflict, Soldiers died. For a moment, two communist superpowers almost started World War III. That conflict was never resolved. They drew a line on a map. But neither forgot. Chinese remember Russian aggression. Russians remember Chinese betrayal. Go back to the 1600s. China controlled huge areas, including parts of Siberia. Then Russia expanded eastward, taking territory, pushing Chinese back. Over centuries, Russia took millions of square kilometers from China. Modern Chinese don't talk about this openly, but they didn't forget. In Chinese history, this is the century of humiliation. Today, China is powerful, rich, growing. Russia is weak, struggling, shrinking. The tables turned. And history shows what happens when tables turn. Revenge. While Putin sends weapons west to Ukraine, eastern Russia is undefended. Siberia, bordering China, is basically empty of military power. It's like protecting your front door so hard you forgot your back door. And your neighbor stands there, watching, waiting. In 1904, Russia's Tsar Nicholas II fought Japan. He thought it'd be easy. Russia lost badly. While wasting time with Japan, they didn't prepare for Germany. 10 years later, World War I started. Russia fought Germany and lost. The country collapsed. Nicholas was overthrown. His family killed in a basement. Why? Nicholas fought the wrong enemy at the wrong time. Sound familiar? Putin fights Ukraine, not his real threat. Meanwhile, China gets stronger, positioning to take everything Russia has. But China isn't just watching. They're helping Russia destroy itself? How? Giving Russia just enough help to keep fighting, not enough to win. China sells stuff, but not weapons. Buys oil at discount prices. It's like giving your friend enough money to stay stuck, not enough to escape. Why? A weakened Russia needs China. And a Russia needing China will eventually give China whatever China wants. Russians notice this. Protests, growing fear, Chinese companies buying Russian businesses, Chinese workers taking Russian jobs, Chinese money flowing in, Russian wealth flowing out. History shows when a rising power dominates a declining power economically, military conflict usually follows. Russia still has nuclear weapons and thinks itself a great power, but China treats them like a gas station with nukes. How long will Russian pride accept this? How long before Moscow says enough? Wounded pride is dangerous. A declining power with nukes and wounded pride is terrifying. But the situation is even more dangerous than you think. In Part 4, we're going to reveal how this could affect you and why the whole world should be terrified. Part 4, the domino effect. How this could destroy the world. You might be thinking, why should I care? How does this affect me? Let me show you how this could literally change your life. Your phone right now, most materials come from China and Russia. If they fight, the global supply chain collapses. First, food. Russia and China export massive amounts of food. If they conflict, food prices everywhere will skyrocket. We're talking potential famines in poor countries and crazy expensive groceries everywhere. Second, energy. If Russia and China fight, Russia's economy could collapse. And when that happens, Putin might do something desperate. Nuclear weapons kind of desperate. Here's the truth. Countries with nukes have never lost a war and disappeared. Why? Because when a nuclear country knows it's losing everything, it has a choice. Surrender or use the nukes and take everyone down. Russia has about 6,000 nuclear warheads. China has about 400. If these two fight seriously, the whole world becomes the battlefield. Right now, the world is balanced between different powers. If Russia and China fight, that balance is destroyed. America would have to choose sides. Every choice has consequences. If Russia and China fight, every country must pick a side. Japan would support anyone against China. India hates China but likes Russia. Europe wants Russian gas but doesn't trust Russia. See how complicated this gets? And economic collapse. Stock markets would crash. Banks would fail. Companies would shut down. Your job, your savings, your retirement, all affected. But here's what should really scare you. Mistakes. In high tension, mistakes happen. A soldier shoots someone by accident. A hacker goes too far. Any mistake could spiral. And with nuclear weapons, mistakes don't just mean soldiers die. cities disappear. Remember 1962's Cuban Missile Crisis? America and the Soviet Union almost ended the world by accident. They came this close to launching nukes. Now imagine that with 3 nuclear powers instead of 2. We live in a connected world. What happens in Russia and China ripples everywhere. Your store shopping, your daily life, everything depends on global connections. A Russia-China conflict would destroy that system. Most people don't know how close we are to this getting out of control. Most people are just living their lives. Meanwhile, the pieces are moving on a chessboard that will determine billions of lives. But there is hope. There are things that can be done. In part 5, the final part, I'm going to reveal the solution and what you can do about it. Part 5, the path forward, how to prevent the next world war. We've talked about the doom. Now, can we prevent this? Yes, but it requires smart decisions. Strategy 1, reverse Nixon. In the 1970s, Nixon befriended China to separate China and the Soviet Union. It worked. Now, some suggest doing the opposite with Russia. But the problem? Putin invaded Ukraine. Making friends with him means looking weak. Strategy 2, make China pay for supporting Russia. What if the West told China, trade with Russia or trade with us, not both? China does way more business with America and Europe. Forced to choose, they'd pick the bigger market. Without China, Russia collapses faster. Strategy 3, let them compete economically while the West builds strength. During the Cold War, the West won by being more prosperous. Same strategy could work now, but this needs Western unity. Some people want trade wars with allies. That's stupid. It weakens us. If America fights China alone, America could lose. China has 4 times our population, but America plus Europe, Japan, South Korea, Australia, and India, China has no chance. Unity is strength. Strategy 4, build alliances. Keep allies close. Treat them with respect. India hates China. If we play this right, India joins the anti-China camp. Strategy 5, help Russia after Putin. Putin won't last forever. When he's gone, Russia will choose. Stay China's junior partner or rebuild with the West. If we offer Russia real prosperity, they might switch sides. What you can do. 1, stay informed. Don't watch just one news source. 2, support policies strengthening Western unity. When politicians fight allies, that's dangerous. When they talk cooperation, support them. 3, pressure your government. Write representatives. Vote for people who understand geopolitics. 4, prepare for instability. Save money. Don't assume tomorrow equals today. Ancient Greek leader Pericles said, "I am more afraid of our own blunders than of the enemy's devices." The biggest danger isn't Russia or China. It's us making stupid decisions, fighting our friends, being divided when we should unite. If the West gets smart, Russia and China will destroy each other. Their historical conflicts will tear them apart. We just need patience and intelligence. But if the West falls apart, if America abandons allies, then we lose. A world dominated by dictatorships is not a world anyone wants. The next few years are crucial. Leaders' decisions will shape the next century. We can't control everything, but we control our votes and voices. My challenge, don't be ignorant. Pay attention, learn, think critically. When decision time comes, make good ones. The Russia-China friendship will end. The question is how and what the world looks like after. Let's ensure we're on the right side of history. So there you have it. The hidden war between Russia and China, explained in simple terms. If you found this valuable, please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Share this video with your friends because this is information everyone needs to know. Drop a comment below and tell me, do you think Russia and China will stay friends, or is their friendship doomed? I want to hear your thoughts. Stay informed, stay smart, and stay engaged. The future belongs to those who pay attention. Thanks for watching.